Okay, it is Aquarius season. So right now I have my Aquarius candle. I have my Aquarius candle burning right now. All right, so do this video. So we're going to talk about Aquarius season and what it may mean for you and your sign. This Virgo, I'm going to jump into Aquarius season 2024. And we should all, for every season, be thinking of what does the energy bring and how's it going to show up in our chart. So if you want to drop a comment about where Aquarius is in your chart, where it's going to transit to, that'll also help you with some insight around like how is this applicable to your energy in your chart. So first of all, hopefully a Capricorn season was good to all of you. I know that at the end of Capricorn season, I felt the opposition between the Capricorn sun and my Venus placement, my Venus and Cancer placement. So it was very interesting to experience the exact aspect. And that's why it's very important to know your birth chart, because when these seasons come around, you're going to want to know, does this square a planet in your chart? Does it trine a planet in your chart? Right? Like, how is the energy going to manifest for you? Because it's going to be different for each person, even if you're the same sun sign as someone else. So I always tell people the best horoscope is to pull up your transits. This is more general information advice. Okay. But I do use the aspects, I do use each sign's relationship to the other sign to give horoscope predictions, advice in those areas. So if we're talking about the heels of Capricorn, we're thinking of, Capricorn provided some level of responsibility or some level of structure, right? And I did see some people in my life that I know have to contend with Capricorn energy during that season. But think of Aquarius now as lighter energy, a more it's more of an ideology, right? Ideas, ideals, intellect, people's opinions, people being controversial, maybe, right? So this is the energy you might see, because now it requires a dedication to goals that Capricorn may have started, but now has to be more palpable to the general collective. Whereas Capricorn is like, this is how it is, here's the plan, here's the structure for it, right? Right? Aquarius wants to now maybe sometimes even poke holes in ideas. Aquarius wants to question things in order to, in some way, theorize, right? It's a different reason than what Gemini does when it questions, okay? The other air sign, one of the other air signs. So I would look at Aquarius season as what is left to figure out and determine, right? It's not going to have necessarily the same exact structure, right, as what you're used to this season. Remember, Pluto is now in Aquarius. Okay, Pluto is at 0 degree Aquarius. So you're not even dealing with Pluto and Capricorn energy anymore, right? Now we still have Jupiter in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus. We still have some Earth energy, right? But again, remember that Taurus energy is going to square at some point that Aquarius energy. So that's important to note too, that tension. But sometimes tension can produce results, and it gives us the much needed lift to divert our attention or energy in another way, right? Remember, this is the individual, right? Aquarius energy has that interesting contradiction where it is a sign associated with groups, collective, friendships, networks, but is also the archetype of the individual, right? But there's also a need for Aquarius energy to feel included. So for some people, there could be themes around um, groups, partnership, your alliances, who you're around, your friends, things like that. What are you a part of? And again, sometimes what you're a part of is not always like who you go out to brunch with every weekend. It could be your online community, right? Right? Or where you feel accepted by people who share similar views and ideas. So this could be a time to examine your networks, your friendships, but general anything in your life that's too limiting. Anything in your life where it's going to make you have to do some radical changes. Okay. And remember that Pluto and Aquarius energy is transformative in a collective way. It is transformative in a we need to shift things. We're going to change things around so that you have a new understanding or inner standing, so to speak. Okay. As opposed to Pluto, Pluto, the ruler of Scorpio, where that is more internalized power, internalized transformation, right? So Pluto in Aquarius is going to be more of people's views, ideas, the structure of society, their connection to societal views, and how that shapes how they respond to things and how they grow to transform or evolve in that regard. Here are a few highlights of what's going to the transits that are going to happen, the major transits that I'm going to discuss. Also, keeping in mind the fact that you do have some energy that is, it's already upon us, right? So I'm going to talk about for moving forward. I'm going to start with actually next 2 weeks. All right. So let's look at this. So we're already in the season, and we also have coming up, you see my notes. Mercury is moving into Aquarius February 2nd. So think about that in terms of innovation of thought, right? Aquarius energy, when it's in Mercury, it is more, anticipate something being spoken about, something dealing with technology, people, if there's a major announcement, those types of things may happen during this time during Mercury and Aquarius. People speaking out on the behalf of other people could also be a theme. New moon in Aquarius, February 9th. Um, think about what can you start that you have yet to do? Well, you might have an inner spark. You have an inner, need to just launch something, to just try something, to experiment with something. And a little bit of detaching from the emotional fulfillment in the traditional sense. And maybe feeling more aligned with your role in regards to other people, how you feel about other people. Who do you need to invite into some of the new things that you have on the horizon? Mars enters Aquarius February 13th. This is the energy of the um, I'm going to bat for what we all need as a community or a collective. Mars can bring that dominance. It is fierce. It is action. So you can see during Mars and Aquarius time, people, or maybe even your own chart, there being some, I need to act on the behalf of other people. I have to get this done. I'm not just doing things for personal need. I'm doing it because I think, right, this is going to be the best way to do it. Now, keeping in mind, sometimes people do accuse Aquarius energy of kind of having that a God complex of like, my idea is the best. It's remember, this is also a sign that is co-ruled by Saturn, right? Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn. So in a way, sometimes a Capricorn Aquarius energy can kind of have that very directive eye. This path is the best path to go on. So you might sometimes see that. Venus in Aquarius, February 16th. This is sometimes, it's interesting, it's coming right after Valentine's Day. And it allows you to kind of get in touch with the things that you might appreciate that you don't notice you appreciate, right? Because in the traditional sense, Venus in Aquarius is not the most romantic placement, but it can represent a shared appreciation for our associations, our groups, our networks. Great time for people to have a reunion, a high school reunion. If you're a fraternity or sorority, like a reunion, something of that nature. Venus and Aquarius energy brings great camaraderie, time for that. Experimenting also, some people in your relationship, maybe, your relationship's getting kind of boring. You might want to do something new. Stellium, so that means that on February 16th as well, there's going to be a super stellium, right? You're going to have Pluto in Aquarius, Mercury in Aquarius, Mars in Aquarius, Venus in Aquarius, right? Sun, obviously. So that's just something just to keep in mind that February 16th energy is going to be strong. Okay. So now I'm going to jump into the different signs. Okay. So again, there's timestamps. You can go to whatever sign aligns with you. I do tell people, depending on what you relate to, check your sun, moon, and rising. Okay. Aries. So, as you know, Aries and Aquarius sextile, right? These are signs that have complementary traits, especially when you think of how both signs tend to, they don't need other people's permission, right? It's not a sign that's like, I need to connect with you first. It's like, this is what I think, or this is what I'm going to do. So, the question I would have for Aries, though, is how do you take your direction driven nature to make meaning? Like, how do you make meaning of the things that you do in ways in which you can explain them, right? A lot of times Aries, you just do it, you just instinctual, you're active, and sometimes other people don't know why you do what you do, right? And so I'm not saying that you have to answer to people, but this is a great time to practice using your influence in a way in which you don't have to do it all by yourself. That's the thing you have to understand. You don't have to burn yourself out. You can have that lone wolf syndrome, and Aries can be good at that. I'm doing this with or without you. I don't need your permission. And sometimes you don't need anyone's permission. But think of like how you can better equip yourself to join with others, perhaps, like, and see where sometimes you do have a role in spaces, right? You have a role in the space. Your voice is needed. Your action oriented nature is needed. right? But sometimes it's hard for you to settle down and like know like where that is, or you can have tension sometimes with some groups. So Aquarius season brings that sextile energy where you can see where you fit, right? You know, you can see that you do have people that may collaborate with you or follow your lead, right? You don't have to just assume that other people aren't going to understand where you're coming from. But again, a part of that air energy of Aquarius is the ability to articulate, right? What you think and what you're doing and how you're doing it. So if you find opportunities, this might be a good time to do it. Taurus. So as you know, Taurus energy squares Aquarius. You would need to know what degree, right? Your Taurus energy in your chart is to see when that exact square to the Sun in Aquarius would occur. But or Mercury in Aquarius or any of the Aquarius energy that's going to be shifting through, especially in February. So you may find it difficult to embrace Aquarius energy fully sometimes because it doesn't feel authentic to you. And we know with Taurus, it's all about authenticity. So it can feel uncertain, it can feel unsettling. However, it might provide you the jolt you need. Okay. You know, you have great patterns, you know what you want, you know how you do things, why you do things the way you do it. Like you have a format. Like this is the right way to do it, right? But it's not about disrupting your safety, your sense of security, Taurus, but rather providing opportunities to experiment and strategize in ways that can better support your need for security, right? You might sometimes be like, nope, this is my comfort zone. This is what I'm doing all the time. But where are there great opportunities to experiment with something, right? Sometimes we think we're doing something that's safe, but when we experiment, it allows us to add more to our lives. And sometimes you're adding things that you feel comfortable with. You feel confident in that. You know you can count on someone. You can count on some, right? You can count on something. That's where your comfortability lies. And a lot of times for you, Taurus, you're very resourceful. And so you know it's a value. Right. But sometimes you have to experiment a little bit too to also add more to your toolkit, add more resources, add more to what you can value. You'll always revert back to who you are. This is not about becoming an Aquarius during the season, but let things lead you in a new direction when it makes sense. Now, Gemini, obviously, this is trine energy to Aquarius. See where that is in your chart or where that trine is, that direct trine is going to happen by degree. This is a broad understanding. This is a time for understanding broader reachings, like how to take your ideas and all of your thoughts and who are you directing it to? Because Gemini, you have a knack for great conversation, talking, speaking, making people feel comfortable because you can talk to almost anyone. But how do you direct that? Who are you? Who's your audience? Who do you want to speak to? Who are you impacting? This is a good time to really hunker down and understand that, especially if you're a Gemini that maybe has a North Node in Aquarius, right? Where, you know, North Node requires us to tap into it. We got to be conscious of our North Node. It doesn't just magically happen, right? So you may yearn at this time or need to find opportunities to impact people with your ideas and your thoughts. It's not just about disseminating information. This time, you may have more of an understanding of like who are the people, the groups, like who needs to hear what you have to say, because what you have to say is important. But sometimes you're not picking the right audience, Gemini, because you think everybody thinks the way you do, or you think everybody is as mentally stimulated as you are. So you're just kind of like, speak, you know, but you can find people who are more aligned with what you actually view, and you can feel a greater sense of importance in the things that you're bringing up, and you might feel targeted at this time of the things you choose to talk about, the things you choose to mentally invest yourself in, and that is because you Aquarius is a fixed sign. So if you feel a greater need for your to be influential to larger groups, that's not surprising to me. You know, many of your ideas run through you, but now you can see where people can grasp to your ideas, and you can tap into that other part of yourself, right? Thinking of who aligns with your thought process, who really needs to hear what you have to say, who's invested in what you have to say, right? What are the societal ideals you want to follow, you want to study a little bit more, right? So you can stay focused. Cancer and Aquarius are quincunx signs in conjunct 5 signs apart, that awkward energy. Now, similarly to Taurus, you feel a bit unnerved. You might feel a bit unnerved unless unless you have Aquarius energy already in your chart, where you've already learned how to deal with the Cancer and Aquarius, energy and how that can fit together. Now, themes are brought up perhaps for you during this time that are forward thinking, Aquarius is the future. Cancer is the past. And that is where sometimes you could struggle. It's like, you very nostalgic, you focus a lot on memory, but Aquarius is like, we need to move forward. We need to be creating new things. And so this doesn't change who you are. This season is not meant to change you, but it brings other themes up so that you get the full range of experience, right? And that's every sign, every season, every sign. Everybody should be thinking of how the season can impact them. Right. So instead of dwelling in the past, you might have opportunity like look forward, like look at what you're trying to gain. That does require you sometimes to break out of that mold of what you feel comfortable with, right? Of what you feel attached to, and you start to think. This is a thinking season for you, Cancer. Okay, and it's okay to kind of it's not that you're changing who you are, but it allows for you to break certain patterns where you see a need to develop. You see a need to, like, you know what, that I'm not quite feeling how that's going. Let me entertain a new idea, a new thought, a new person, a new situation, right? I've been stuck on this relationship. Maybe I need to, venture out and look for what else is out there. Or maybe I just need to be open-minded, right? Like that could be themes that happen for Cancer. Leo. So this is during your opposite sign season, of course. You may feel a draw to this energy despite it being polarizing, right? Now, if you have Aquarius in your chart already, you may lean more into using your knack for creativity or popularity to share with other people. So it's not just about the Leo spotlight. It is you're using that Leo energy you have and you're giving it to a group. You're giving it to people. You're giving it to society. You are sharing more of yourself because you want to in some way help or support or right or impact. You want to motivate mentally people, like, right? Maybe that's you're like, yeah, I have this great idea, but I want to involve other people, right? Yeah, I have this great creative idea, but I want to get 3 people on my team. Like that is what Leo might be dealing with right now. Okay. Or we have the opportunity to do. Now, if Aquarius is not in your chart, you may realize that what gets you through this season isn't your charm. It isn't how much people admire you, Leo, but it could be how you respond to contrary ideas or experiences. So, for people who don't understand the Aquarius energy, or it's harder to understand it for you. It's foreign to you a little bit. Again, it's your opposite sign. It's never going to be that foreign, right? You might even attract a lot of Aquarius people. I see a lot of the opposite signs. I see a lot of Leo Aquarius pairings and a lot of Leo Aquarius energy exchange a lot of times, friendships, relationships, things like that. But this could be a learning experience for you. Okay, Leo, how to get by without your charm, right? How do you use your intellectual side? Right? How do you bring that other part of you out as well? Because we're not just one thing. Even if our sign is known for a certain trait, we all experience certain human experiences in general, and it's up for us to understand how that energy is going to show up. Now, Virgo, you're also quincunx Aquarius. I think unlike the other signs that are quincunx Aquarius, I think Virgo and Aquarius tend to understand ideas. I think Virgo and Aquarius tend to have good problem solving skills together. So if you have that in your chart, maybe you might be a good problem solver. You're inventive. You can drill down what the issue is. Virgo, analyze it, and then Aquarius like, well, you know what? I'm going to try something I haven't tried before. But in general, it can sometimes be unnerving this time for you, Virgo, because Aquarius energy is a little bit unpredictable. You can't it's not a perfect pattern, right? And you're so used to patterns. And Aquarius is good at detecting patterns, but that's more of if you think of technology in Aquarius, right? If you think of more of the algorithm type, that's Aquarius algorithm. Virgo is the manual, right? The mental task of categorizing things and seeing the pattern. So, it could be harder for you to pinpoint the and analyze to get the easy answer that you're used to, because when you do the work mentally, Virgo, you do tend to come up with an answer and a solution to things, how to fix it. But during the season, you see the importance of following theories of thought, and perhaps you may realize you need to radically change some of the problems you thought you solved, right? And I know that might get on your nerves, Virgo, because of that need for accuracy, that need for detail. But you might notice that because you prefer a neat, organized answer. But Aquarius season reminds us of the answers are also messy and require disruption, because sometimes we have to disrupt something or else it's going to keep going off the wrong track. It's going to keep going on the wrong track. And Aquarius energy reminds us to have new solutions, be innovative. right? Now, you'll always be able to clean things up and set things straight. So you shouldn't fear venturing into broadening your horizons, right? You shouldn't fear that. Okay. You can make things more efficient. Okay. But you might realize you have to make grander or sweeping changes instead of the minute ones. Libra, of course, you trine Aquarius, you would have to see where in your chart that trine takes place or what day that transit would be on for you. I'm talking more so like if you're a person at Libra moon at 15th degree or Libra sun at the 15th degree, it would be really important for you to track when Aquarius goes into the 15th degree, when Aquarius sun, or any of the Aquarius transits that are coming up. Now, this is where you may reflect or feel more of a pull toward perspectives that are not as binary as you usually terms you usually think, right? Because you deliberate a lot, you look at things, you're able to see the contrast and the pros and the cons, right? But Aquarius energy gets really muddled up into the complexities of things. Like we need to dive in, we need to probe deeper, we need to understand this, we need to discuss this, right? And it's not always this very mediation is you, but Aquarius is not about mediation. Aquarius is like using it's about change of thought. It is about shifting thoughts. It is about, understanding how the collective feels. And sometimes you might not always have the answer. The answer isn't as clean as you may think it is, Libra. So this season is less about the partnership you're used to. And the agreements that you're used to, and it might be you might be and it's a great time to explore that contrarian type of energy. Anything in your life that you're not quite sure of, this is a great time to figure it out because you don't have to do this clear, you know, this or that. It's not as easy as a T chart, and so it helps you become more nuanced in your way of thinking. Okay, this season is less about the partnership you used to, more centered on groups and collective thinking. And so it may require you to branch out outside of your interpersonal relationships. What are your networks? How maybe can you bring a more balanced approach to settings that you're in? Right? You might notice that people need certain things from you in terms of your perspective, your mindset this time around. Right? Where might your energy be needed when people are going too far into extremism? So for some Libras, this is a time where you're going to see how you can influence groups. But again, Libra, you're not coming in as the maverick waving a flag and saying this is me, I know the answer. Of course, that's not really how Libra energy is in general. But I think this is a unique opportunity for you to see how your thoughts and your thinking collaborate with people, but also be okay if there's not a a, a perfect, black or white answer. Get involved in the mix of things, understand the complexities of things, and be okay with that without feeling confused. Because I know Libra, you like things a little cleaner and neater. Similar to Virgo in a way, ironically, but for different reasons, of course. Now, Scorpio, of course, this is square energy to Aquarius. To you, commitment is deep and built on emotional bonds. Um, you may sometimes feel that talk is cheap. You may struggle sometimes to understand Aquarius energy fully. But during this fixed air season, you may need to contend with contrary ideas that require you to entertain certain concepts that can further your views or how you experience life. You work hard to protect what is yours, but Aquarius season reminds us of the importance of shaking things up. Sometimes we see what is no longer working, and you need to put a new spin on something. Okay. And it requires you to admit that. So consider what you're committed to. What opportunities do you see to evaluate if there's a need where you're in an area where you're too restricted, an area where you're too dedicated, and you're missing novelty, or you're missing the experience to open up a little bit more. Sagittarius energy is sextile to Aquarius, depending on the degree within your own chart, of course. But you love the accepting nature of Aquarius season. You understand Aquarius energy in a way. This is a time people are more willing to explore new ideas or be bold in their expression, and you're totally there for it. Okay. For you, though, it could be a great time to bring your beliefs to a new group or setting with a renewed zest or zeal. You are so committed to what your truth is. This is my personal truth. This is what I believe. But how do you bring your sense of truth to a bigger audience? You might have an opportunity, to even some people that are in certain field marketing, but I was thinking of careers, marketing or something where maybe even if for some people it's a career situation where you're able to take something that you believe and you're able to market it to a group of people. You're able to get other people to believe in what you believe in. And again, it's not about being forceful or controlling in that way, but it's a great time for those even involved in certain fields that deal with speaking, messaging, to find the right people who need to hear your message, influencing the collective. Think of who needs your influence. Think of who's likely to buy into your truth at this time. So being around the right people, right, who, are not closed-minded, people that you can sell ideas to, or people that you can influence, people that need to hear your message, right? So for Sagittarius, it's a great time to be really intentional about who you're around, what parties you're going to, what events you're going to, how you're presenting yourself in meetings or collaborating with other people, because this is a complementary energy to you. You just got to use it right. Now, Capricorn, you both share the planetary ruler of Saturn, okay? However, unless it's in your chart, you find Aquarius energy to be too disorganized, too non-traditional for you sometimes. Now, you learn a lot during this season, though. I think goals sometimes need to be malleable, and I know that's hard for you to. Right, when you have a direction, a plan, a way things go, but you also need to learn how to invest and trust in others. And Aquarius reminds us of the collective, our groups, our associations, other people, friendships, whatever the case may be. Okay. You may think only your way makes sense when there's a chance to develop a better following. People trust you when you open up and when you allow their ideas to come in, where you are creative mentally in your ideas, when you are inviting, right? You can still be who you are, right? But Aquarius season is where we sometimes have to shift. We sometimes be, you know what, this isn't working. You know what, that's a great idea. Let's try that way. Like this is the time to try that. This is the time to experiment that way. Okay. Pisces. Now, sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes Pisces cannot relate to Aquarius in some ways because Pisces is, sensitive, and Aquarius energy like, does not sometimes watch how it says things. It's like I'm just going to say it like it is, right? Aquarius energy isn't afraid, similar to Sagittarius, to speak the truth of what their opinions are. But Pisces is like needs a softer approach. Pisces cares about delivery. Pisces cares about how we are impacting people, right? Deep within. But I do think Aquarius and Pisces energy shares a uniqueness about them, right? Where there's not a need to conform. And so during this season, Pisces, it's essential for you to sometimes venture outside of your own imaginative qualities, venture outside your own creativity, deliver and give, right, to people in a way in which you are allowing yourself to be seen and heard. And a lot of times I know Pisces energy, similar to Virgo, there sometimes to be this like solitude mission that Pisces feels that it's almost sometimes Pisces feels like it's alone, right? Or wants to do things on their own because it's like nobody understands. But actually, Aquarius energy has more of that. It's a similar acceptance, right? Now, again, Aquarius energy is still going to have that fixed nature, opinionated nature. But I think during the season Pisces, it allows for you to involve yourself in certain settings where you're going to be noticed and seen and appreciated for what makes you different, what makes you you, right? This is a time for you to make sure the things that are important to you have a space, and make sure that you're also giving yourself opportunities to venture outside of the things that you have conditioned yourself to believe. I know, I get it. Pisces can sometimes have that very like idealistic sense of life and how it should be and all those different components, and right, but you get so caught up that sometimes it's inactive. You don't want to be inactive. Aquarius energy, ruled by Uranus and Saturn, it gets active. It collects, it gets other people on board. It starts to stimulate the mind. It make sure there's a community. And so I think for Pisces, it's important for you to accept community where it's offered. Sometimes I understand if you've had bad experiences, it's hard for you to feel like you want to go somewhere with people, you want to be invited. And of course, people should be safe. But I think for Pisces, this is a chance for you to venture out, see that there are people like you, and that you sometimes can, shield yourself away, or you can sometimes, be evasive, or it's hard for you to commit to certain things, but this Aquarius energy is all about people with shared ideas, people with shared principles coming together. And again, coming together doesn't have to mean everybody has a huge following, huge bunch of friends, but it is about the settings that you're in, the spaces you're in, the organizations, the events you go to, making sure that those are purposeful to you. Now, Aquarius, I'm going to end with you. This is your season. You already know that. But I think the great thing about this being your season, Aquarius, is this one, obviously, this Pluto transit that has come upon us that everybody is talking about. But I think for Aquarius, it really is going to be essential, especially when Pluto, I think for Aquarius, even a lot of you are changing. And it's going to be for you. Here's the thing, you always feel this need to look outward. You feel this need to look at society and say, that's wrong. That's not right. That's not fair. Shouldn't do it that way. We need to do it this way. And rallying people together and saying the things that other people, saying the things that are controversial, get them out there. But I also think with this Pluto transit, this conjunct to your sun or your moon or your rising, I think Pluto and Aquarius, I think there is a greater call for Aquarius people, Aquarius risings, especially in terms of personal transformation. Your ideals are going to shift and change as well. And as you're changing and you're influencing others around you, as you are, and again, for some people, it doesn't mean you're leading a group. You're leading a group of people through intellectual thought and you're an intellectual guru. I'm not trying to put that on all Aquariuses, but I will say Aquarius sometimes focuses so much on what they can do on the outside, the humanitarianism, the supporting other people, connecting with people through ideas. Sometimes you lose touch with the part of yourself, the more emotional part of yourself, the part of yourself where you need to be changing as well, and not just so focused on the external. So that is definitely something that I think is an opportunity, though, honestly, for Aquarius energy during the season. It is about by the end of I mean, Pluto's going to be in Aquarius for a very, 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 very long time. So there's no getting out of that. But I think for many of you, this is a great year for that personal transformation. I mean, this is the year of the 8 as well. So for a lot of you, it's going to be personal transformation. It is the things in your life that you are you're equipped, you're allowing yourself to be equipped to handle things that aren't as easy as theorizing. You're going to have to theorize about yourself. You're going to have to understand more things about you and why you are, what is your cause and purpose and why are you doing it? Right? A lot of times people can see what you're doing and right. But I think for you, it's going to be more of an internalized process for the why. And so I think even speaking on that, Mercury in Aquarius is also going to be during the season. I think for Aquarius people, it's going to be you finding your purpose and your sense of direction in terms of being more vocal about your why, right? Because that's going to help you internally process things as well, because it helps us as signs when we understand sometimes we are lacking something, and that's all the times, right? And so, because of that air energy and that fixed air, right, you're so caught up in ideas, but you don't want to lose the ability to fully transform personally. You don't want to do all these things for people, all these things that you're doing for the organization you work for, all these things you're doing for the people around you. And then you turn around and you feel like, but you haven't changed. Right? You've changed everyone else, but then you go back and you're like, wait, I don't feel like I've made the necessary changes I need to make personally. Right. And that does require a little bit of soul searching. So that's something for Aquarius, I don't even think it's just about this month, but there's a lot of Aquarius energy happening. I think for you, it is about through all the things that you do, make sure that you are really in touch and tapping into the why. And that's going to be very important through this Pluto and Aquarius transit for you guys as well.